There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again. There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, that says, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, we can't get fooled again. There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, that says, fool me once, shame on you.
And the cover-up was one of the worst in the history.
Fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Bad deal.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee.
Somebody really messed up. They had the worst cover-up ever. And where it should have stopped is at the deal stand, what they thought about it. Because whoever thought of that idea,
we can't get fooled again,
I think is in big trouble.
At the same time, the vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind. At the same time, the vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind.
I liked beer. I still like beer. But I did not drink beer to the point of blacking out, and I never sexually assaulted anyone. I liked beer. I still like beer. But I did not drink beer to the point of blacking out.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what did it mean next?
It meant that it's indicative of low-resolution thinking.
I liked beer.
I eat extra sharp. That's what I eat.
No, seriously, hot sauce. I've been eating a lot of hot sauce, a lot of raw peppers and hot sauce.
And this is just the beginning of America First.
I admit to always improving.
Antifa exists.
Then I have an Article 2 where I have the right to do whatever I want as president, but I don't even talk about that. $7 million for reef fish management, $25 million to combat Asian carp.
The reason the market is doing what it's doing is people are sitting at home getting the checks from the government, okay? And this fair share is a bullshit concept.
Well, first of all, I should say something about how we came to be here and why we're doing this, and then kind of what we had in mind. Originally, the idea had come up of me debating somebody else on this topic, and that didn't end up happening.
In case you don't know, and you haven't seen the latest polls, the American people hold the President of the United States in contempt. They hold this institution in contempt. They hold the Republican Party in contempt. They hold the Democratic Party in contempt.
Ladies and gentlemen, leaders and fighters for freedom and liberty and the American dream, the best is yet to come.
The good news is, for me, I'm here. The bad news for you is, I'm coming back. And by the way, you know, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
Look, talk about education. I propose that what we take is those very poor schools, the Title I schools, triple the amount of money we spend, from $15 to $45 billion a year. Give every single teacher a raise to the equal raise of getting out the $60,000 level. Number two, make sure that we bring in to help the teachers deal with the problems that come from home. The problems that come from home, we have one school psychologist for every 1,500 kids in America today. It's crazy. The teachers are, and I'm married to a teacher. My deceased wife is a teacher. They have every problem coming to them. We have to make sure that every single child does in fact have 3, 4, and 5-year-olds go to school, not daycare, school. We bring social workers into homes of parents to help them deal with how to raise their children. It's not that they don't want to help, they don't know quite what to do. Play the radio, make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone, make sure the kids hear word.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it, and he shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the vote.
Honestly, Sam, if I could just get this sentence out, we can talk about Jimmy. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote.
8 months after his alleged meeting with the Burmese executives, so this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese, a real beautiful company. We've ended the war on American energy. We were in war. And we've ended the war on beautiful, clean coal, one of our great natural resources.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys. And I did. And back in those days, to show how things have changed, one of the things you had to use, if you used pomade in your hair, you had to wear a bathing cap. And so he was up on the board, wouldn't listen to me. I said, hey, Esther, you, off the board, or I'll come up and drag you off. You know the chain, there used to be a chain that went across. You know the chain off a 6-foot length of chain, deep end. Went across the deep end. There used to be a chain, there used to be a 6-foot length of chain. You cut off a 6-foot length of chain in your head. This chain around your head, but I'm going to wrap this chain around your head. But I'm going to wrap this chain around your head. Don't come back. And he was right. The chain. Walked out with the chain. So I walked out with the chain. So I walked out with the chain. So I walked out with the chain. Foot length of chain. Foot length deep end. You used to remember the straight razor, you'd bang them on the curb. The straight razor, you'd bang them on the curb. You'd bang them on the curb. Come on the curb. Bang them on the straight razor, you'd bang them on the curb. I apologize for that, not for throwing you out, but I apologize for what I said. He said, okay, close the straight razor, and my heart began to beat again.
What's the most important issue in the governor's race here in Virginia?
Getting back to the basics of teaching children, not teaching them critical race theory.
And what is critical race theory?
Well, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it because I don't understand it that much, but it's something that what little bit that I know I don't care for.
And what have you heard that you don't?
Well,
that you don't like?
I'm not going to, I don't have that much knowledge on it.
They weren't coming because they couldn't get in. Once they think they can get in, they're coming, and they are coming at levels that you haven't even seen yet. They're coming all over the place.
And by the way, I don't think that's some grand conspiracy. I think this is sort of what power is. I mean this at a sort of high level.
They felt pretty comfortable after day 2.
So notice something. I defended him on his bad joke because I have standards and I have principles.
Everybody digging my chili when I'm laying down, that is not true.
You haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Dumb people, liberal people.
Everybody comes in, your grandmother, your father, your mother, your brother, your cousins. They come in so easily, so crazy.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. It fooled me, we can't get fooled again.
Force the vote, sure, was a failure.
Get your words straight, Jack.
No, seriously, hot sauce. I've been eating a lot of hot sauce, a lot of raw peppers and hot sauce.
Get your words straight, Jack.
I admit to always improving.
He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes. Really? And I resent.
Are you talking
like
about
hell.
Hunter? Are you talking about
I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know, Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter
you know
got
Bo.
thrown. Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. It wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use.
I've got to go. Let me respond. There's a lot to respond to here. Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it. I mean what I say when I say it. I'm the only person who's ever run. That was it. No one else was talking about it. The words of presidents matter. Nobody else.
You're dying. That's true. And you're dying. That's true. And it is what it is.
Come on. Don't be a bitch. My other debate flaked out on me today. I was supposed to... Well, actually, sorry, she did not flake out on me. I flaked out on her because I said I can't do it later.
Get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
They're not accountable to anyone. I get 10 to 12 million views a month, and they won't come out and address my progressive audience. They won't come out and address Bree's audience, or Katie's audience, or Justin Jackson, or you. They are not accountable to us. They're accountable to whoever the fuck themselves. Let's not kid ourselves. As Chris Hedges taught us a long time ago, the people attracted to politics are the most mediocre of people. They're not your friends. They are elected servants, and start fucking treating them that way.
I hear Brownie is seconding you in the background.
They're not your fucking friends. They're the people standing in between us and fucking healthcare. They're putting their fucking personal position ahead of that. Don't fucking forget that.
Dumb people,
What are you talking about with that, Jimmy? I'm talking about anybody who's a progressive in Congress who isn't endorsing hashtag the vote. All those motherfuckers who didn't show up today at our town hall. Every fucking one of them is selling you out and canceling you for their own personal gain.
They had a very bad original concept. It was carried out poorly, and the cover-up was one of the worst in the history of cover-ups. It's very simple. Bad deal, should have never been thought of. Somebody really messed up, and they had the worst cover-up ever. And where it should have stopped is at the deal standpoint when they thought about it. As far as my relationships with all people, I think I have great relationships with all people. I am the least racist person in this room.
Across this country, we've seen this new phenomenon lately, chanted at sporting events and on signs. The phrase is, "Let's go Brandon."
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
That the most potent force in the Republican Party is President Trump. We need Trump plus.
That isn't what it meant.
Well, what does it mean then? Explain.
It meant that it's indicative of low-resolution thinking.
I hate the white man. He's of the devil. He was made in a cave.
All of a sudden, we can't talk about Neanderthal DNA anymore.
No good. No good. No good. Really bad for you. Not good. Believe me, not good.
Who are you worried about? I'll tell you who I'm worried about. I'm worried about the fact that our workers are seeing a decline in their standard of living. They want to see our industry be rebuilt. That's what they want to see. No more B-2 bombers. No more Star Wars. Let's make the quality products we need. Let's invest in American industry. No, I won't yield.
Did you use the word smart? So you said you went to Delaware State, but you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Oh, give me a break.
Because you know what? There's nothing smart about you, Joe.
No, the truth of the matter is that when you look at some of my policies, in a lot of ways, Richard Nixon was more liberal than I was.
But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order.
In person, in my office, in Philadelphia.
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go. But I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
You will file articles of impeachment against President Joe Biden.
Isn't it wonderful to allow protesting? No.
But I think the juxtaposition of that shoe in the shoe and the woman dancing in the shoe and the woman dancing in the shoe that we've canceled said to continue ass pussy, and she's got the bucket talking about WAP, which stands for wet ass pussy for wet ass pussy for wet ass pussy, and she's got the bucket. The point is that we get rid of all of these things and then we say, oh, we say, oh, but the woman with the leaking pussy and the bucket, and the woman with the leaking pussy, the woman with the leaking pussy, leaking pussy and the bucket and the mop.
Running against the worst candidate in the history of presidential politics puts pressure on me. Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost. If I lose my whole life, what? Could you imagine if I lose? Could you imagine if I lose? Could you imagine if I lose? Could you imagine if I lose my? Could you imagine if I lose my whole life? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I lost to the worst candidate in the history of politics. I'm not going to feel so good. Maybe I'll have to leave the country.
Bottom line, the American dream, the great American dream versus being a socialist hellhole.
So stupid. So stupid. Thank you. Thank you.
Really, how many people do that? You mean they moved out and then they said, "Ah, the hell with it, I'll move back in." You know, it doesn't sound like a very normal. You mean they moved out and what? They missed it so much that they wanted to move back in? Yeah, it's like it's crazy.
Well, and then I admit to always improving.
Retweet. That was an opinion of somebody, and that was a retweet.
And I have a simple proposition here. I'm here to ask you for your help. Where I come from, you don't get far unless you ask. My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate. Look me over. If you like what you see, help out. If not, vote for the other by.
Watch Hillary examine the terrain. Watch a campaign with the man Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine in the membrane.
I'm about to be 34 and I have no family. Because my dad had 2 kids by the time he was 27.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you know what the problem is though? It's definitely not me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's everybody else.
Even before you do that, and not even including that, that's why I hardly even included that number, although in one state we have a tremendous amount of dead people, so I don't know. I'm sure we do in Georgia, too. I'm sure we do in Georgia, too.
Well, it was an amazing phone call I made. 40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest. And I just spoke to my people.
In my opinion, it's never too late. Little double sound deck.
Let me just tell you, I get along with everybody, which is my obligation to my company, to myself, etc. Obviously, the war in Iraq is a big, fat mistake.
Only the really, I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ. And he's like this, and we will, I need water, help me, I need water, help. And this is on live television.
We like to go the night before one of their primaries. We do a little trolling, it's called we do a little trolling. Trolling, it's called we do a little trolling. We do a little trolling, it's called we do a little trolling.
Unbelievable.
At the same time, the vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind.
The battle of righteousness versus Satan. Yes, Satan. Because these leftists are evil.
The world is actually a small piece of the universe, right?
But I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Cans of soup, and they throw the cans of soup. That's better than a brick because you can't throw a brick; it's too heavy. But a can of soup, you can really put some power into that, right? And then when they get caught, they say, "No, this is soup from my family." They're so innocent. This is soup from my family. It's incredible. And you have people coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup, and they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police. And if it hits you, that's worse than a brick because it's got force. It's the perfect size. It's like made perfect. And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family. And then the media says, this is just soup. These people are very, very innocent. They're innocent people.
Hello, users!